Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about reverbs, different types of reverbs, how to use them, and I'll actually be going into Logic and showing you a project that I'm working on, and we can put these various types of reverbs on different instruments like vocals, strings, and pads and stuff like that. So reverb is basically the noise that you're going to hear other than whether it's your vocal or the stringed instrument being recorded. It's the thing that's going to bounce off of a wall or whatever surface and come back into the microphone. That is literally what reverberation is. Now, I'm going to be talking about 5 different types of reverbs, and today I'm going to be talking about halls, chambers, rooms, spring reverbs, and plates. And these are pretty much your 5 reverbs that you're going to use most likely, at least like the 5 most essential ones. So let's just start by talking about the 5 different types, and then we will go into Logic and I'll show you some practical applications. So a hall reverb is pretty much emulating a concert hall, and it's going to sound very thick. It's going to thicken up vocals. It's going to take up a lot of space. And they're really good for stringed instruments and pads. But the problem with it is if you overuse a hall, then you're going to really muddy up a track with too much reverb, because they actually use quite a bit of low end as well. So it really clouds things up. And in an attempt to pretty much make things sound really big and lush and full, you're pretty much going to make them sound just poor sound quality and also small. Like I said, these are really good to use on strings and pads, and I actually use them on vocals too. So a lot of times with vocals, I'll have 2 reverbs and I'll use like a room for a more intimate sort of vibe, but then I also use a hall on top, but I'll EQ it a certain way to get the vocal to still be clear. But then we'll get into chambers in a second and talk about that. So chambers are actually very similar to halls. The only thing is they're not going to muddy up a track nearly as much as a hall. And they're really good to use on vocals. They're really good to use on stringed instruments and acoustic guitars, because sometimes if you add a hall to an acoustic guitar, it can sound really, really muddy. And if you start from that point, you're really just going to have a muddy overall project. So the Beatles are very known for using chambers, and they're also very known for using plate reverbs. And what they would do back in the day when they didn't have certain things that we have now, I mean, it's pretty crazy that you can just go buy an emulation of like Abbey Road's plugins from Waves or wherever. But what they would do is that they would actually go into places like tiled bathrooms or little stairwells and stuff like that, and they would pretty much have it feed back into the microphone that way, and it would provide a very, very cool sort of effect, and they were very known for doing that. So let's talk about room reverbs. Room reverbs, you can think about this room. When you pretty much do a vocal take or a take on the guitar or whatever it is, it's going to be a very intimate sound when you're adding a room reverb to a vocal. I tend to do this a lot on live performances. So let's say that I had the acoustic guitar and I was doing a live performance or a cover song. I think it's really, really good for that because it's giving you that intimacy. It doesn't muddy things up nearly as much as a hall, and it just gives you that live sound and the natural color. Now, plate reverbs are really, really cool, and they're used on pretty much everything nowadays. And they were used a lot by the Beatles back in the day, and that's why they have literally a whole plugin for plate reverbs. They give a really warm sound. They're really good on vocals. They're really good on drums, snare drums in particular, and they just create a really nice, inviting sort of feeling and sound. These, unlike the other reverbs, aren't actually based on a wall like a concert hall or a room. They're based on sheets of metal. So they would actually have sheets of metal and get a very particular sound and reflection from that, as opposed to a wood wall. Spring reverbs are really, really cool, and they're used a lot on guitars, and they'll give you a very vintage sort of tone, again reminiscent from the 60s, 70s, 80s sort of era, more 60s, 70s, and they have just a really particular tone. I'll have to just show you. I have an acoustic guitar track that I will show you, but it's kind of its own thing. All right, everybody, so we are in Logic right now, and this is a song that I'm working on. It is not mastered, it's not done by any stretch of the imagination, but it will be a very good sort of way to show you these different types of reverb. So we're going to solo out the lead vocal, and I am going to show you how to use these different types. Okay, so for this particular song, I'll just tell you what I did for this, and I'll have you guys listen to it. I think it sounds really good, and it's a mixture of, like I said before, a room and a hall together. I think that sounds really cool. It's just sort of a technique that I've liked to use in the recent past. So let's listen to this.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand that people come and people go. It's time to leave, 'cause you feed into every part of my disease.
Okay, and if we solo out just the vocal.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't.
So it sounds intimate, but it also sounds full, and that kind of has the intimacy of a room, but has that hall in the background, and I did EQ that. But that's sort of a different story. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to set up a new bus or a new send, and we'll be talking about the different types of reverbs right now. So we're going to start actually with a room and sort of have that intimate feeling. I'm going to be using a plugin called Reverb from Waves, which I really like. So you can see up here why I like this is it literally tells you the different types of reverb. So you hit this drop down, and these are literally all the ones that we're going to be talking about for the most part. So we're going to start with a room. Since it's a send, we're going to make sure the wet and dry is at 100. You know what I'll do is I'll actually go to a preset so that I can show you guys what they would be using for a sound of a room. Alright, so they have a room set up as sort of a smaller reverb, whereas a hall would be all the way up here. They have it at -10, so it's just sort of a smaller sound because it's a smaller space. A hall is going to be a big space. It's going to have a very thick sort of sound. This is going to have a little more clarity, and they actually EQ'd over here in the damping. They EQ'd out some of this low end to give you a little more clarity too. This is what they did. This is not what I did, but this is basically what a room reverb would sound like.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand. I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand.
So yeah, obviously a much more intimate sort of thing going on here. So we are going to do a hall next to really give you the difference between a room and a hall. So let's use one of their things here. So you can see right off the bat with what they're doing, they have the reverb all the way up, the size is at 100%, and the time is a little bit longer. So let's listen to how this sounds.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand.
And that's at the exact same dB for the send, or whatever you would call it. I'm sending it just as much as I did the other one, but you can hear how big of a difference it is. It sounds so much fuller, it sounds so much more rich. Now, you can imagine if I had this on 4 different things, it could muddy up the track if they were all in the same space. So this kind of has to be used sparingly, and you should really think about what you're using it on and try not to use it on everything, whereas something like a plate, a room, or even a chamber could be used on more things. So now we'll go to a chamber and you'll hear the difference in clarity.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand. I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand.
It's funny because now that I'm doing this, this is like making me want to use a chamber instead of a hall on this particular vocal. So thank you guys, because I actually learn a lot from doing these videos. But you can hear what a difference that is in terms of the clarity from a chamber to a chamber from a hall. A hall, you know, it fills up so much space, especially in the low end, and it really does muddy it up. And in this particular instance, I feel like the chamber sounds way better on the vocal and in context with the song. So next we are going to move on to a plate reverb. Okay, so right off the bat you can see the difference in the EQ over here and the damping going on. The size is still quite large. The time is less than 2 seconds here, so it's going to have a much clearer and warmer sound, I'm guessing. They have a little bit of pre-delay going on here too. Again, these are presets, so I'm not saying that this is what it is. These are what professional people are saying what a plate is, what a hall is, what a chamber is, what a room is, what a spring reverb is. So I want to just let you guys know, like, this is what professional people have pretty much created to create this sound. So it's not just like a biased thing where I'm going based on my sounds. These are other people's approaches to these particular types of reverb. So let's listen to this.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand that people come and people go. It's time to leave.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I really like that, and I hope you guys are wearing headphones because it sounds so warm. It really does. It gives this very inviting sort of sound. It's warm. It just, I like the plate reverb, and it also has the same clarity as a chamber, and it has something going on in the top end that is just very sonically pleasing. I really like that. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to a spring reverb, but I'm also going to use the spring reverb on the acoustic guitar, and maybe another element of the song too, because usually, I don't think anyway, in this instance, I'm going to be using a spring reverb for this vocal because it sort of acts like a delay a little bit, but we'll show you what that looks like right now. Okay, so let's take a look at the difference here. There is no pre-delay right here. The size is really, really small, so it's not going to give you a very wide and large sound. It's going to give you almost like a little bit of a thinner, cheaper sound in a way. And let's check out what this sounds like.
I wish that I could save you, baby. I can't. I know that things are changing lately. I understand.
So you can tell right off the bat, there's a lot more low end in this. They didn't EQ any of the low end out. If I did use this on a vocal, I would EQ out the low end in this particular instance. But yeah, this is kind of its own beast. It's its own sound. I really like how they sound. I'm just not using it in this particular instance. But let's go ahead and add this to the acoustic guitar and see what that sounds like. Yeah, so I think this actually sounds really good on the acoustic guitar, especially where there's finger picking and kind of a concentration on the bass note. It's actually sort of propelling it forward, which is kind of like what the song needs. So I actually really like that on the acoustic guitar. The only thing I would do is EQ a little bit of the low end out because I think that muddied it up quite a bit. I had this CLA guitar plugin on here too, and I have this reverb right here, and then I have this delay here. So let's actually add this back in just for shits and giggles, as they say, and see what it sounds like. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it for the video. I just want to say thank you for actually helping me mix my song here, because I'm going to definitely change the lead vocal to a chamber instead of a hall, and I'm actually going to keep this spring reverb on the guitar. So I learned something new. I hope you guys did. If you did, please like the video, and if you want, subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot and helps the channel to grow. So until the next video, I will see you guys next time. Peace.